All right, let's get started here. First things first, are there any questions about the syllabus? We went over it last time, some of you didn't have it, after we read it over. No, okay. All right, so today, I'll pass out today's participation sheet. Find your name, initial across from it, and pass it on. Let's make sure it gets to everyone. Okay, so we're going to dive into the text now. So this is Philosophy 102, Critical Thinking. What is critical thinking, you might ask? As a discipline, critical thinking concerns itself with analyzing attempts at persuasion to determine whether one should, rationally speaking, be persuaded by the rhetoric in question. Okay. Certainly you shouldn't believe or do something just because someone says so. Instead, you want good reasons, evidence for believing something is true or that you should do something. Okay. But what you really want is an argument. But now we need to be very clear about what an argument is. In everyday speech, an argument is a hostile disagreement or exchange of ideas in the context of critical thinking. An argument is an attempt to show that some claim is true or probably true by offering evidence. That which the arguer is trying to show to be true is a conclusion of the argument, and each bit of information used as evidence for a conclusion is called a premise. Okay? So let's just write that on the board, even though it's in the book. An attempt to show some claim is true or probably true by offering evidence. That which is offered as evidence are the premises or premise. That which is being shown to be true or possibly true is the conclusion. Okay, so just one more visual. Someone might say, blah, blah, therefore X, okay? The whole thing would be an argument. What they're trying to prove, therefore X, is the conclusion. And the evidence offered, these are the premises. And each individual claim is a premise, right? Okay. Okay. If you think about it, a prosecuting attorney is in the business of offering arguments, right? They're trying to prove that someone's guilty by offering evidence, and the defense team is also in the business of critical thinking because they're evaluating the prosecution's arguments and trying to poke holes in them or offer their own argument that their client has to be innocent. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Scientists argue as well. Okay. A scientist might argue that evidence indicates that Earth's climate is increasing because of human activity, blah, 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 right? Or, so there's arguments everywhere. Does everybody understand? You can't go get a job as a critical thinker, but how you can keep a job without being able to think critically or navigate life without being able to think critically would be a mystery. Okay. Unfortunately, arguments are lacking in several areas, and one is politics. Okay. If you think about a political debate, you usually see politicians say, I believe this, I believe that. And what they don't do is what? Offer you reasons why you should believe as they do. Does everybody understand that? Okay. And another place where there's not enough critical thinking going on is religion. Okay. Many religious-minded people refuse to engage in debate when encountering a prima facie objection to the rationality of their belief by claiming that the matter is simply one of faith. There are a couple of reasons that this tactic is unadvisable. Refusing to engage in debate leaves the protagonist believing that her argument is good and that the believer is just ignoring the problem. Does everybody understand this? So if you're a believer and someone says, what about blah, 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 and you say, well, it's just a matter of faith, the person who's arguing against you is going to think, you don't have no answer, I'm right, you're wrong. Well, if you do have an answer, you should fight back. Does everybody understand that? Okay. Otherwise, they leave thinking that they're right. Assuming the protagonist's argument is faulty, the believer misses the opportunity to correct the protagonist by explaining the argument's flaws, right? So if that attack against your belief is flawed, you miss the opportunity to correct the person. Does everybody understand that? And so that they might change their mind, okay? 3, supposing that there is substance to the protagonist's objection, the religious-minded person misses the opportunity to refine her religious faith in response to the objection or come to the realization that her beliefs are problematic. Okay? So, 1, you could be wrong, right? And if you're just ignoring the argument, then you're never going to right your wrong. Does everybody understand that? Okay? And this could be really dangerous. Is anyone familiar with, this happened well before all of you were born, sure, the Branch Davidians? Does anyone know who the Branch Davidians were? Oh, people. Okay. This happened before your time in Texas, Waco. Okay, that's why they call it Waco. No. So there was a guy named David Koresh who claimed to be the second coming. Okay, and he established this cult, right? And you know, they were stockpiling weapons and so on and so forth, and the ATF found about it, and they wanted to have a look-see and blah, blah, blah. And the Branch Davidians got tipped off that they were coming to raid their place, so they armed themselves, and the first assault by the ATF and federal agents and stuff like that was repelled with semi-automatic weapon fire. So a whole bunch of agents were killed, and some of the Branch Davidians were killed. And then we had a standoff for days, for weeks, right? It went on weeks. Until finally the government said, enough of this crap, we're going in. So they launched in these canisters, right, of tear gas and whatnot, and knocked down the walls. Well, those tear gas things are very hot, and they started fires, right? Some people inside ran out to safety, others did not or could not. And so scores of men, women, and children burnt to death. Okay, all right. So now let's suppose that before this happens, one of your friends gets in this, I'm going to call it a cult. We're going to assume that David Koresh wasn't the second coming, okay? And you want to get your friend out of this nutty cult, okay? So one thing you could do is sneak in at night, hog tie him, and drag him out of there. That'd be one thing, right? But you think, well, that probably won't work, so you ask him to have coffee, and you say, hey, I want to know about this group that you're in. Tell me all about it. And so your friend spews the universe according to David Koresh. You're listening and you're taking notes, and you realize, well, you said this, you said that, and they both can't be true, right? So the system or the belief system that this person is believing in is contradictory, right? And so it's a point you pointed out. Hey, this can't be true because you said this and you said that and they don't fit together. Okay? Your friend might say this. It's just a matter of faith. Well, now what's happened? Now there's no way to extract them through reason. Does everybody understand that? Well, another way they might respond is by saying, God works in mysterious ways. Yes, this seems impossible, but God works in mysterious ways. Your friend's stuck. And they might go down in flames. And people did. Does everybody understand that, right? So, be ready to give justification for your faith. Take those arguments on as they come. Right? Okay. Your first skill in becoming a critical thinker and a good arguer is to be able to distinguish between arguments and non-arguments. Now remember what the key is, that we are what? Attempting to prove something is true or probably true by offering what? Evidence. Okay, so I'm going to read a passage and you're going to tell me whether you think it's an argument or not. Reading passage 1 on page 2. Abortion should be outlawed. Capital punishment should be enforced swiftly. Same-sex marriage is morally repugnant. Argument? No, 3 claims were made, but there were no reasons offered to support those claims being true. Does everybody understand that? So it would be a non-argument, and in fact later I'm going to have you classify things as non-arguments in the homework and stuff like this. And this would be the case of no particular claim supported by evidence. There's a bunch of claims, but no claims are supported by evidence. Does everybody understand that? So, non-argument. Okay. How about this one? Abortion should be outlawed. Oh wait, no, I'm just reading. I gotta go over here. I'm on page 3, reading passage 2.